I have always thought that Lester just had too much power in GTA 5 and GTA 5 Online, but I figured, you know what, maybe he could just be an elite hacker or something to that likeness and not actually work with authorities. But the more I think about it, the more possible the possibility of him actually working with an organization like the FIB comes to fruition. So today I will be presenting the theory of Lester possibly working for the FIB and provide some reasons why he could and why he wouldn't, so just to keep things fair, because I don't want to be one-sided. And let's get into it. Starting off with some reasons why he does or could work for the FIB is he has the ability to get the cops off of you in any given situation, in almost any given situation. Even on some jobs like the auto shop contracts, you could call Lester to get the cops off of you, even if you do things like robbing a Fleeca bank. You rob multiple Fleeca banks in one auto shop contract. You do also rob the UD, but he cannot get the cops off of you in that specific job, I believe. Now, this is where it starts to reach the limits of what he can do, because if he could get the cops off of you in any given situation, no matter the limitations, that would start to catch on and people would start to notice, and it would quite frankly just be too obvious he's doing what he's doing. If you were to send an entire team to take down the Pacific Standard, for example, he can't just get the cops off of you, because even if he had that power, it would just be too suspicious. Everyone would be like, where are the cops going? Why are they going over there? People would start to point fingers at Lester, and that could potentially blow his cover. He also has the ability to make cops ignore any crime you do for 3 minutes straight in GTA 5 Online. This is very hard to do. Now, you could say he starts a false alarm across the map. Maybe you're in Los Santos and he says the Bank of Paleto Bay is being robbed. That's somewhat believable, but once again, it's one of those things where he could really be like an elite hacker or something and throw the police off. But I think if he had some sort of ties to a higher organization, he could tell them to let the cops ignore whatever we do for 3 minutes straight, and that's the maximum he could do, because once again, that's sort of his limitations. If he goes any more than 3 minutes, then authorities would start to catch on, and players would as well. Lester also just knows too much, quite frankly. In the story mode, he talks to Michael, and he talks about him tracing Michael's steps for a very long time, and he also somehow has the power to be able to see who Michael is transferring money to every single month. Even if you are an elite hacker, I just don't see how you could do this. Having access to banks and stuff like that could be a feature or a benefit of working with the FIB though. And if he was an elite hacker and he worked with the FIB, combining those two things would just make for endless possibilities in terms of stalking and stuff like this. Lester also, this is a more far-fetched one, but he also just knows too much people to be the type of person he is. Lester is not going out and socializing with people. He sits in his house all day and occasionally goes out for a job, but he just happens to know a lot of the top hackers, and he also knows a lot of the lower level ones too, and that's how we choose which ones we want for certain jobs. We could choose a high level hacker or a low level hacker, a high level gunman, things like that. And if you were an FIB agent, you would have access to criminals of that nature, and you would be able to get them on your side with some leverage, which I'm sure is very possible. And if you're a criminal, you're probably very prone to blackmail, because let's face it, you're a criminal, and even if they do not have any available blackmail, they could just straight up slap you with a sentence for life, and then you're in forever. It just doesn't make sense to me how a person like Lester could know all these people, and even our GTA 5 Online player, which probably makes the most sense because we're the most tied to the criminal world. When we first land in Los Santos, we're greeted by Lamar, which is, who is not a, legal person by any measurable means. He's a criminal. So that ties us pretty easily to Lester. And if we are to assume that GTA Online takes place after story mode, which I'm probably going to have to make another lore video about, then Lamar already knows Lester, and that would tie us to Lester. Now I'm going to get into reasons why Lester would not work for the FIB. One, what does the FIB have on him? Well, Lester, once again, going back to the criminal thing, Lester is not a normal member of society. He is a criminal, and I'm sure they have charges on him. Not to mention, after all these years of him robbing banks and stuff, if he was being assisted by the FIB would have that leverage on him, and they would probably want some sort of proof that he was involved for collateral, just so Lester doesn't go off and snitch. But I'm pretty sure they would just kill him if that was the case, which they also probably would do. Next, you might be saying, why would Lester help us all these years pulling off all these jobs if he worked for the FIB? Wouldn't he try to stop them? And honestly, honestly, the only thing I could say in terms of this is Rockstar could be saving a Lester villain story for a final GTA Online update, which would actually be pretty cool. It'd be like us trying to take down Lester, but they would have to have the entry into that story. And Lester could have been working with the FIB all this time, just trying to gather evidence on us. And I mean, at this point, he has a mountain of evidence of things that we've done across Los Santos. We could definitely get life in prison, or we could definitely get the death penalty as well. Even though, because Los Santos is based off of Los Angeles, a city in California, California does not have the death penalty anymore. So if anything, we would probably get life in prison. Not to mention, it would be a two-way street for Lester and the FIB, because Lester is only the brains of the operation. He cannot do anything. That's why he sits behind a screen all the jobs we do, because he's frail, he's old, he can't help us in no measurable means. There's no way. Some people may also say that Lester is just too open, quite frankly, even though he's only open to a certain extent. We do know where he lives. He lives in El Burro Heights. I'm pretty sure everyone knows where his house is, so we have that leverage over him. But if you did have the FIB protecting you, that wouldn't really matter at all. Some people may also say that Lester has worked with the IAA in the past, and the IAA and the FIB do not exactly like each other. This alone, in my opinion, is just not strong enough proof that Lester is not an FIB agent. He could just be a FIB agent, and he's trying to do what he can to not blow his cover. If you're wondering when exactly he worked with the IAA, he's actually done it on a few occasions. Firstly, the first one off the top of my head that I can remember is the Doomsday Heist. All 3 acts, he technically worked with the IAA. And yeah, he didn't blow his cover there. He was able to keep it under wraps. He also ties us to Agent 14, who is an IAA agent. I believe he ties us to him in the Prison Break. And those are the only ones I can remember off the top of my head. But he has worked with the IAA at least a couple of times, proving that he could stay undercover for extended durations of time if he was an FIB agent. And the only other way someone could try to dismiss this theory is he helped us with the casino heist, and that could have put many lives in danger. But if you really think about it, from all 3 approaches, the only lives we ever put in danger were the Duggins. And I'm pretty sure the FIB does not care about the Duggins. They're pretty much criminals at this point. They get away with what they do because the FIB has nothing on them. So the FIB could care less if they die or not. And that's all I could really think of on why players would try to dismiss this. If you have any theories on why Lester could or could not work with the FIB, let me know in the comments and I will reply to you and maybe we'll have a little conversation. I'm not saying that Lester is definitely a FIB agent, but it is a possibility. And once again, for a later GTA Online update, maybe the last GTA Online update, Lester could reveal his cover as a FIB agent, which I think would be pretty cool. I don't want to kill him. I think that'd be kind of rude, but who knows? Do what you gotta do. And thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the first episode of GTA Online Lore here on my channel. If you do want to see more episodes, leave a like and subscribe. I really would appreciate it. Let me know what you think about this theory. I'll see you all later. Have a good day or night or evening, and goodbye.